Today's video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet.
So we finally...
So allow me to set the scene real quick, if I may. You've been playing Mortal Kombat 11 for a bit, and you managed to actually make it to top 8, and then from out of nowhere you're disqualified from competing in the remainder of the tournament, to the surprise of not only your opponent, but also the commentators as well. And then it's later revealed that your variation name was the cause, so with that in mind, the variation name must have been something ridiculous, right? Was it a slur or something highly offensive? Maybe some demonic combination of curse words? Nope, it was this. That's the name that got you banned. Today's video is sponsored by Ridge Wallet, a product strong enough to stop a bullet and even my samurai sword. That was pretty loud. Alright, more screen this time. I highly recommend you get yourself one because these bad boys have a lifetime guarantee. And even if you don't like them, there's no risk to you because Ridge Wallet offers a full money back guarantee. So once again, what are you waiting for? Buy one and try it out. Because trust me, you won't find a more comfortable wallet. I sometimes forget this thing's in my pocket. That's how comfy it is. However, despite their slim design, they do still carry up to 12 cards. One of my personal favorites is burnt titanium, but Ridge Wallets actually come in over 30 different styles and colors. So trust me, you want to try out this product. So go to ridge.com/TrueUnderdog and use promo code TrueUnderdog to get 10% off your order and free shipping worldwide. How's it going, everyone? My name is TrueUnderdog and I don't feel like styling my hair today. I hope you don't mind. Now, this topic has been covered by a lot of people about 2 weeks ago, so I'm very late to the party. Strike while the iron is ice cold, as they say. But you know, even so, there are several reasons I wanted to cover this topic. Reason number one, a lot of people wanted to know my opinion on the subject, and that's always a great reason to make a video. And then for reason number two, the FGC seems to be a bit split on the topic. You have certain pro players and commentators feeling each different way about the subject matter. So I thought discussing their various points of view could be interesting as well. And then for reason number three, NetherRealm seems to have actually listened in a way because in the most recent update, Shiva was nerfed in a couple ways. So whether or not that was a result of the variation name remains to be seen, but without any further ado, let's hop into this subject. So let me do my best to set the scene once again. A player who goes by Titanium Tigers made it all the way to top 8 in a Mortal Kombat 11 Pro competition. And of course, this mad lad was using Shiva, but unlike some other notable Shiva players like Foxy Grandpa, Titanium Tigers was doing a lot of the Dragon Drop, otherwise known as the Stomp or the Salt Creator, the Rage Inducer. It goes by many names, much like the Devil, because a lot of players can't stand this move. And I think what I find so funny about that is that many players said, yeah, a lot of casuals are gonna hate this move, but the pro players are gonna handle it like they always have, and it's not gonna be a very big issue. And at first that was the case, but then it turns out that if used correctly and sparingly, the Dragon Drop can be a problem for pretty much any player, no matter what level of play you're at.
Okay, look. Look, it doesn't matter! Okay,
And I don't think that's just because the Dragon Drop itself got stronger. I think it's because your options in Mortal Kombat 11 are a lot more limited. And then on top of that, the hitboxes are a lot more limited as well. There aren't many attacks that hit directly above you and cover that entire area. Which means, of course, most players try to avoid the attack, but unless you can punish Shiva right away, she can just do it again and again and again. And believe it or not, this very move, the Dragon Drop, is what influenced Titanium Tiger to make the name of his variation. In their very own words, Titanium Tiger says it was supposed to be funny because the character I was using is extremely easy. And I have to agree, Shiva can be played in a more honorable way, but if you want to exploit her abilities, you certainly can. And not just Dragon Drop, but also the Dragon Stance. That move is very, very strong. And don't get me wrong, there are some very strong characters in Mortal Kombat 11. Jackie can be very tough to deal with, and so can Cetrion and Fujin, but all of those characters require a bit more skill than a character like Shiva. But with that also said, I don't believe that picking Shiva is an automatic win, especially at a high level tournament, but feel free to try it and see how far you get. Titanium Tigers is also a good player, not just someone who picked the best character in the game. That's certainly not the case. And if you were to ask me, I would say that Dragon Stance is actually even more OD than Dragon Stomp, at least at a higher level of play, because there are a lot fewer ways to actually counter it. But I'm starting to digress a bit. Now you know the reason why Titanium Tigers named his variation what he did. Why did NRS do this was meant to be a joke about how Shiva was so good and so easy to play at a high level. However, unfortunately for said player, NetherRealm did not seem to find this joke very funny, and as a result he was disqualified from the remainder of the tournament. And that's an important distinction to make. He wasn't actually banned. That would imply he can't compete in future tournaments, and the player is allowed to do so. So it's more accurate to say they were disqualified from that current tournament. And there were some rumors floating around that Titanium Tigers had been warned and asked to change their name, but then they didn't, and as a result they were banned. However, according to the player himself, this was not the case. They were banned without any warnings whatsoever and only given the reason for the banning after it had already happened. So at this point it's kind of up to speculation and who you choose to believe, but I don't see why the player has any reason to lie, because the player didn't even seem that angry to have been banned. It was kind of a joke to them, and as a result I don't think the player is lying. It seems like they were genuinely banned outright. Titanium Tigers is not the only player to make variation names of this nature. In fact, it was actually very common to see players have names like Buff Bottom 2, or Nerf Jackie, or Nerf this character, buff that character. That was super common to see, which is honestly why I'm still a bit flabbergasted to this very day that Titanium Tigers got banned for their variation name. Because honestly, depending on how you interpret the name, it doesn't even have to be an insult. Asking why someone does something doesn't mean the action itself was bad. Whereas the other variation names are a lot more incendiary. Saying to outright buff or nerf a character is telling NetherRealm they did something wrong. And yet even so, those variation names were completely fine, and then Titanium Tigers got banned. So it could be this poor player was just the one that NetherRealm decided to make an example of, or maybe NetherRealm didn't see the other names, or any number of things. And like I mentioned earlier, the FGC can't seem to agree on whether or not this disqualification was justified, because some prominent figures like Destroyer have gone on record saying this ban was unjustified, and I tend to agree. But then you have others who support the decision and also think these gaming journalists are wrong to report on it whatsoever. In fact, some even go so far as to claim that you should ban variation names entirely and just have them be Kustom 1, Kustom 2, Kustom 3, and so on. And not just because of what Titanium Tigers did, but because when you go online, you can find some really offensive variation names. And don't get me wrong, I do think some really vile things like racial slurs and things of that nature should certainly be banned from the game. However, outside of that, things like curse words, I don't think those should be banned. This is an M-rated game after all, and that does imply that the player base is of legal age and also has a mental maturity to not be upset by some words. Once again, racial slurs, anything highly offensive like that should not be allowed in the game, but some people have made some interesting videos like the Force Snake. He made a great video that points out how there are certain things that the characters themselves say in the game, and yet you still can't put it on your variation name.
Nice to see you again, Legs.
These legs will kill you, Black.
Your angel of death awaits.
You will be kept waiting, devil.
All of its denizens are beneath me, woman.
And the award for most pretentious prick goes to...
And some of these restrictions are downright hilarious. Like for example, when I was trying to make a Melina variation, I just called it no biting, and even that wasn't allowed. And I can't figure out why. I don't think NetherRealm actually banned the word biting. I think there might be an algorithm at play here that tries to ban certain words, but because it is a machine program, it doesn't actually understand the language. It's just doing its best to kind of guess, and as a result, certain mundane things are banned as well as the extreme things. But regardless, I highly recommend checking out the Force Snake's video because it is a hilarious trip and it's edited very well. Once again, the point is certain names are banned that shouldn't be, and then some names that definitely should be banned are not. And I'm gonna do my best to be unbiased, so please let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about this. Should NetherRealm just straight up ban everything and it's just Kustom 1, Kustom 2, Kustom 3, or should they instead only ban the really extremely offensive things and allow everything else to remain kind of like the Wild West? I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below, but please keep it classy. And now it's time for the final segment of this video. So like I hinted at earlier, Shiva has actually been nerfed as a character. As you can see right here, the dragon drop is now off screen for 2 more frames before her drop attack actually begins. And that does not seem like a huge change to me, but as you can see, they did actually nerf the dragon drop. And then perhaps an even bigger change, the dragon stance now has 2 more startup frames. So in other words, you can now interrupt it if you block the initial string. Whereas beforehand, that was a true block string against a majority of the cast. So in other words, if Shiva hit you, she could do dragon stance and then all all the fireballs would combo, but then if you blocked it, she would cancel into Dragon Stance, do all the fireballs, and get a bunch of chip damage, and you couldn't punish her anyway. So on block, on hit, it didn't matter. Dragon Stance was unstoppable. But now that's no longer the case. It is finally interruptible because it is 2 frames slower on startup. Now once again, I'm not sure if the variation name had anything to do with this, but NetherRealm did actually nerf the character a bit, so it seems like they agree she was a bit too strong. No matter what the case may be, I guess the Titanium Tigers kind of got the last laugh in a way because Shiva was nerfed. But once again, overall, the whole situation is very confusing to me. Once again, there were variation names that were far more antagonistic towards NetherRealm, and those players did not get banned. And then according to the player, they were never asked to even change their name, they were just disqualified outright. And then on top of that, the FGC can't seem to decide who's in the right here. So once again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like down below. And finally, make sure to finish that combo by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.